public figures and people that have a fair amount of following, you have to build a community. That's super, super, super important. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it all the time. It's the one-on-one mapping, the one-on-one nurturing, every last one of your followers. If you have 2 comments on a post, like, you better be replying to all 3 of them. Like, you need to be replying to your comments. You need to be building a community. You need to be talking, asking your audience, what type of content do you guys want to see more of? What kind of content do you guys like? Who do you guys want me to interview next? You have to build that relationship with your audience first and gain their trust. That's something super important. Marketing, in business, and doing podcasts is something super important. And what a lot of people do is that they don't have that connection with their audience. There's a space, and they just want to grow the business route. They want to get the followers up, and they want to get their clout up. They want to get on this. They want to get on this interview. They want to do this interview, and they want to grow their top of the funnel branding. But the base of it is there's nothing holding that up. So you may have a huge following, but they can't DM you and ask you a personal question about their life. They're not going to do that.
Right.
So the minute you fall off this little clout trip you're on, they forgot all about you.
Well, I think that's also why you don't want to do viral content. Like, I've never been a fan of viral content. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of like, if you do viral content, right, then you got to stick to it. Because, like, that's the thing of, like, this year's been really interesting for me because I originally started doing comedy because I knew I wanted to talk to people. And I was like, how can I get more of my thoughts and feelings out to people? Get up and do an open mic and you can start doing comedy. But then comedy, I've really taken a step back trying to think about what I even want to do with that over the past year because, there's such a climate of people judging what you say, right? And I think that and then there's also like
don't worry, we'll get into that.
And there's like stereotypes too, like as a female comedian, right? A lot of the female comedians out there, no disrespect to them, but a lot of times I just
they're not funny. I'll tell you right now, I don't know one. You're an exception, but the female comedians, like, I think that we should probably start arresting them.
Well, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is the thing. Like, the thing is, I did a one-woman show like 2 years ago. And when I go back and I watch what I was talking about 2 years ago, I was like, damn, I was like so ahead of what was coming up. Like, I was talking about toxic men and how, like, what about the toxic women? I was talking about like Jimmy Kimmel and like the Man Show and what he was like in the 90s and like a cancel culture and like just turn the TV off. You don't got to shut everything down. Just go watch something else. And I was doing all this like over 2 years ago when I was putting this stuff out because this is the stuff that I could see was like snowballing out of control. And the thing is, a female comedian, right? I speak from my own personal experience. I'm not someone that's just going to go up, like going back to like just putting out a content because you think it's going to get you followers. I put out what I'm comfortable putting out. Same thing when I do comedy. I'm not going to put out a joke because I know it's going to get a bigger laugh. And there was a comedian that Patrice O'Neill was a really big comedian, and he passed away, and they recently did a special about him, and I really like resonated with like his special because he was talking about how he didn't want to he didn't want to be in Hollywood because he didn't want the golden handcuffs. Right? There's a thing like when you're trying to be someone's just trying to share your story and share your thoughts and feelings, you want to make people think. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of what I want to do with comedy. I wanted to make couples get along better. I wanted people to stop being so angry and divided. I wanted to kind of try to bring people back to the middle. And that's why I originally wanted to do comedy. And then, like, a lot of times if you try to get your way up there, they're going to try to tell you what you're supposed to say, or they're going to try to push you in a direction because, oh, you're a funny girl, you're cute, you should be more like, you should be telling these type of stories. And I was kind of like, I wanted to be more authentic. So I kind of took a step back to kind of watch a little bit because I'm not going to tell a story that, oh, I was hammered last night and I finger banged myself on the couch. Like, it's not what I'm going to say on stage. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not my authenticity. It's not me. Do you know what I mean? So for me, sometimes it's like when people are trying to push you into like raunchy material, well, that's kind of not me. I might be sassy. I might talk about having sex with my husband because I actually like him, because I'm trying to make couples realize it's okay to have sex with your husband, because that's why so many people are so. Right, you know, because like so many people are so anti-marriage. So to me, that was more of the stuff that I was trying to do. So I kind of took a step back and I was like, you know what? I'm enjoying having conversations. I'm going to just stick with the conversations and I'll use humor through the conversations, but I'm taking a step back for the comedy for a little bit just because things are still opening up and there's really not a lot of places to perform it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'd rather let the people that do it for a living, let them get back out there and I'll kind of keep building this. And then if I decide to go back into it in the next couple of months, then I'll readjust it. But I don't want to get in there and then have people criticizing every little thing I say. People can't say, I'm having a conversation. You can't tell me I'm having a conversation, Ron. It's a conversation, okay?
Yeah.
It's a dialogue, right? There's no right or wrong way to have a dialogue. Topics will come up, but you can't say, oh, you didn't ask that question right. But if you do jokes, people can say, oh, what are you doing? You don't do the setup punchline properly or something like that. So I think this is a little bit more free for me right now. So this is what I'm kind of vibing with at the moment.
Yeah. So how did you first get into comedy? How did that start?
I acted when I was a little girl, and I used to always do impressions and everything when I was little, and I literally thought I was going to be a female member of Saturday Night Live when I was a little girl who asked what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like I loved
Yeah.
Lucille Ball, I loved Joan Rivers, I loved the Carol Burnett show. I could do every character from all those shows in the '70s when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
It was I don't know in the '70s it was a lot of sketch comedy. It was a lot of like variety shows and stuff like that back then, and it was really like you don't have that anymore. Like you don't really have like the humor like we used to. There used to be a lot of really funny women too. And
Yeah.
and then
Living
what am I
Color,
saying?
I think that show
Yeah,
had
living
like
right. And when you go
the
back,
funniest women on that show. Like that
dude,
was it. Like
and
that
when you
was
go
it.
back and watch that stuff,
Yeah.
it's so funny to watch it now because me and my son
Crazy.
watched it one day and we were like, because that's what kind of got me back into comedy. My son and I were watching TV one Sunday and we watched the Carol Burnett special. And I was like, damn, I miss performing. Like, because I took a break from it for a really long time because I got just turned off by the business and stuff. And then that's when I looked at my husband one day. I'm like, I'm going to do comedy. And he's like, okay, but you got to write your own shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to. And so then I just kind of like put my name on the list at an open mic and I just kind of jumped up. And that's another thing. I just taught myself as I went along. I didn't take a class. I didn't have anybody train me. I just kind of like went up and just did me. And I just figured
Yeah.
it out as I went along. So some people look at me and go, what the hell is that girl doing up there? That is not stand-up comedy. But I'm like, hey, it's Kristen doing Kristen. So that's how Kristen being Kristen became my name because I did a one-woman show. I said to my husband, I said, I just want to try like my own thing. And so he made me a stage and we put a bunch of people in a room and I put it on YouTube and I just went up and just went off the cuff for 20 minutes and just spoke my truth and did my thing. And when I released it, I'm like, what do I call it? And I go, well, it's just me being me. I'm just going to call it Kristen being Kristen. And that's where that name came from. And then I was kind of doing comedy for a while with that. But then I was getting kind of going a little bit, and then the lockdown happened, and then I kind of got into the conversations and the dialogue, and I've been really enjoying talking to people. That's one of the things I really love. I grew up on a lot of shows like the Oprah Winfrey Show and the Phil Donahue Show, where people would kind of get up on a stage and they would talk about a topic, and then you would have dialogues and questions and answers. And we've really gotten away from that as a society. So I was kind of like, you know what? I think this is kind of more my niche for now, and I just want to try and ride with this and see what I can do with this.
Yeah. So